Hello, footies, and welcome to Foot in Review. We are the number one independent FC24 podcast, bringing you 2 shows a week. We are available on all podcast platforms around the world, including now on Amazon Music, and of course, as a fully produced video show on YouTube and Spotify. And of course, if you can spare a few bucks and join our loyalty programs and get some free merchandise while at it, visit patreon.com/footinreview or footinreview.com and join our super close community and get that invite to our Discord server with that. Today's episode is brought to you by CarMoney, but more about them later. And on that note, let's shout out our Patreon Skybox owners. It's time to say a big thank you to Paul C, Amar L, Archum W, Mario A, Simon E, and of course, Peter M. Now let's get this show started.
Hello footies, welcome along to your latest dose of Ultimate Team podcasting goodness. We are Foot in Review, powered by footcoaching.com. My name is Dan Wimbush, otherwise known as Wimby. It is Monday, the 2nd of October as we record this. Most people will be hearing this on Tuesday the 3rd. I'm delighted to be joined once again by the scout, Nathan Downs. We've got lots to get into today, including our first experiences of playoffs, at least my first experience anyway. Our latest team rebuilds. We've got our regular features, formation in review and player in review. We've got the latest patch notes to talk about and a lot more. So Nathan, how are you, my friend?
I'm very good, thank you, Dan. Thanks for having me back on. I'm quite liking our sort of usual meet-up again. This is good crack. We've had lots of chat through the week about our teams, how FIFA's going, so it's good to be able to share that again.
Absolutely. And look, I know John and Yngwie on Friday's show, or Saturday's show, as most of you would have been hearing it, we're talking about how they kind of viewed that first week of FC24 content. I think 6s and 5s were handed out. We're sitting here on the Monday now. We've had over a week of gameplay. I mean, where would you put your score out of 10?
Gameplay-wise, I'm really enjoying it. So probably 8.5, maybe even 9 out of 10 in terms of the actual gameplay. I think it's been really interesting. I think it feels a lot different to the last FIFA. Defending's different. I think it's really good if you turn on that advanced defending, which we've all kind of found out together. Some things are still back. I got done by the kickoff glitch today, which has really put me in a bad mood. But gameplay wise, I think it's actually been really good. We're away to talk on it, Dan, but I have to say, content and menu wise is a big, probably maybe 2 out of 10, if that, for me. But let's hear your views.
Look, I completely agree with you. It's been beyond dreadful menu-wise. I mean, look, John and Yngwie said recorded on Friday, released on Saturday. There's been nothing of note since the Andre Silva SBC that came out over the weekend. It was an absolute embarrassment. Look, I know it can be upgraded, but as the guys pointed out on the last show, it could be December until it gets its final upgrade. And even then, it's just not good enough. And which would be one thing. But at the same point, the EA are already putting out 275k, 300k packs like they're going out of fashion. Just leaves that slightly bitter taste in the mouth. But look, I do agree with you. I think the gameplay has been good. I am struggling, and I think it's a topic we're going to get into today. And that this just style of gameplay just so far and level of competition isn't for me. I can just sit here and say, I think for me, the FIFA 23 gameplay suits me more. But I'm enjoying the challenge of trying to learn and get better, and also trying to accept, have some acceptance within myself that it's okay to suck. It's okay to not be great at something straight away. And I don't have to fly up the divisions. I don't have to get all the wins that I usually get in playoffs. Sometimes it takes time to learn. So I'm plodding around in Div 6 at the moment. I'm at the final checkpoints getting to Div 5, but winning those 3 games in a row is really difficult, whether it's been co-op or solo play. We'll talk a bit about co-op as well, because the 2 of us have been playing together a bit as well, so we can share our thoughts on that. But yeah, I'm enjoying the gameplay, even if it's frustrating and a bit disappointing on a personal level to be, not as good as I hope to be and to have that learning curve. But overall, I think if I had to give a score of everything from menus, gameplay and everything, I think I'd land somewhere around where John and Yngwie are, kind of around that 5 or 6 out of 10. So far, lots of glitz, not a lot of, not a lot of substance behind it.
Yeah, no, that's understandable. It's been good and bad at the same time. menu-wise, you've got to hope it can only get better. Like you say, the pricing of that SBC and even the actual quality of the SBC. I think Adam in our Discord had said something about the SBC prices being high, which you've kind of got to agree. There has been some good ones, and we were going to talk about it, but it's expired. But the Kevin De Bruyne one, which we sat here last week and said, what are they thinking? Absolutely not. I ended up doing it, and actually, I'll put my hands up. We were wrong. He is unreal, and you've used him in my sort of co-op team as well, and we've both kind of said that he's a very good card. So we probably dropped the ball on that a little bit. It's still high price, especially for how the market's really low just now. And I know you and chat kind of go on it, but apart from the top tier ones, it is quite a low market. So maybe he's overpriced, but very good. But yeah, even the Kudus card, everyone says that with the upgrades, Kudus could be incredible. But I still don't see it being like an absolute must-do either right now. So hopefully they'll bring out a bit more, and even just a little bit more to grind on the menus as well. As not just like player SBCs, but a little bit more to do would be quite nice.
Yeah, and look, I don't mind high-priced SBCs if they're going to provide long-term value and, you feel like you can use it for. I like De Bruyne. I was very torn on De Bruyne. I nearly did it and then just pulled back a little bit, mostly because I'm anticipating that Jude Bellingham Player of the Month card. But the thing with Player of the Month card is it kind of gets EA out of jail a little bit because they don't really decide it. I know they have a say on the vote and a portion of it is voted on by fans. But, they can kind of hide behind the fact of, oh, look, you've had James Maddison and Jude Bellingham. But, that's not really their decision. The ones they've actually actively made a decision on have been very mediocre at best. Yes, a live promo is going to throw some curveballs in because you can't go to really big name players when you've got that live promo, can you? Because you can't exactly hand out, an 87 rated Phil Foden, because then chances are most people would have Nath, a 90 rated Phil Foden, and then you'd have to, or an 89 rated Phil Foden. So you then have to make it either really pricey, which people will be saying, we're 3 days into the game, how can I afford this? So I do see where they're at a little bit of a sticking point, but I just think, like the guys were talking about on Friday, like Rain, a 2-star weak foot. I mean, come on. I know it's an objective card and it's free, but no, I'm not having it. So let's get on to our thoughts on gameplay, and let's talk a bit about co-op, Nath, because I love talking about co-op. It's the first time me and you have played together. One of the great things about FC24 is that they've enabled cross-play in co-op mode. So Nath plays on PlayStation, I play on Xbox, and we can play together. And I think one of the great things that, lots of people bash EA servers, Nath, but I actually think that our experience playing cross-play has actually been pretty smooth so far.
Yeah, really enjoyed it. I mean, I've played with you and I've played with John as well. And obviously with him being over in Holland, still no issues with it. So I think it's worked out really well. You've been going on about co-op for ages. I had about 3 games in the last one with John when he loaded up his PlayStation. So I've not a big experience with co-op, but I think it's been brilliant. I really enjoyed it. Different playing with yourself to playing with John. We've got a bit more freedom to. We're kind of a bit more kamikaze together. I think we're very similar type players. John's obviously very methodical in his build up. I feel a bit guilty because we were playing just before this, and I was pulling out the elasticals. I think our last game we beat someone 5-1, and he had to keep telling me not to get carried away because I was able to actually bring out a bit of skills. So it's been good fun though. I really enjoy it. Big advocate for it now. I'm very, very much on that co-op bandwagon. I actually think I might prefer co-op to solo play, even if we're not getting the same results as you might do as solo, because it's obviously a lot to adapt to somebody else being in control of certain players and their runs and stuff. But we load up the Discord, we sit in the hangout zone and chat away through it, and I just think it's really good fun. It's nice to speak to folk. It's good that we can have a laugh and sort of you pick up little things from the way that you play that I don't necessarily do, and same with John and vice versa. I'm sure, well, maybe not from John with me, but I mean, co-op so far has been a big positive for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I've had great fun ever since they brought it in 22, I think it came in. It's fantastic. I think mentally it takes a load of pressure, worry and frustration off. Yes, obviously, there's disappointment when you lose and decisions go against you and things like that and you're not getting results. But it's so much easier because it kind of like spreads out over the two of you. And you have fun doing it. Like you said, you're generally chatting on a headset or something to somebody. So you've got that kind of thing. You have the funny moments. And we talked about the De Bruyne thing as well. You get to use different players. So you get that experience and you get to use different teams, different formations and different styles. So it's good. I think the one disappointment for me for co-op so far, and I think I don't know if this was a deliberate intention from EA or not. We play an awful lot of solo opponents. So it'll be 2-on-1. A lot of the time. And I think, I've played co-op with you, I play co-op with my friend Steve. I think I would say 80 to 85% of my co-op games so far have been 2-on-1. The reason I think that is because this year you will have noticed that when you go to search for a game in Rivals, by default, it starts to solo or co-op. I think, and people may please tweet us in Foot Coaching if I'm wrong on this. I think last year the default was solo and you had to turn on solo and co-op. I could be completely wrong on that, but I've never had this volume. I mean, it was about 50-50, I think, last year, and the year before that was probably even less because it was a bit novel and there were more teams about. So I find it personally more difficult playing 2-on-1 because I think it's easier for somebody to defend and attack when they've got that AI assistance. You know, you haven't got the rogue people selecting people and pulling them out of position and things like that. But all those qualms aside, it's been fantastic. I've really enjoyed it. And it's kind of like, that's been my main joy so far because, as mentioned, I played my Rivals, struggling at the top of Div 6 to get out of there. And playoffs for me was just really underwhelming. And there will be people listening to this. I'm complaining. I went 5-5, and I'm sure a lot of people will be saying, "Why are you complaining about? You qualified." But for me, I'm used to getting sort of 6 to 8, 9 even wins last year. I think this is the first time since the early days of 21 that I actually ended up with 5 when I've actually been trying. 2 or 3 of them, I just was blown away. Games that I would have lost anyway, but it was those couple that were 50-50-ish or 60-40 that maybe I could have won another time. But I'm sure you're going to sit here and tell me, stop being silly, you've qualified.
Yeah, 100%. And to be fair, it's nothing we've not said before. I mean, when you said to me originally, first thing I said is it's an absolute sweat fest out there. So unless the people that have got the game on Friday have been playing without any sleep, it's the diehards, the tryhards, the rats, the whatever you want to call them. You know, there's nothing wrong with that at all. I've got enough points for it, but I'm not brave enough to venture into it. But it's the people that kind of love the game intently. Or I say love them. Some of them might complain about it, but ultimately everybody loves the game that got it in the pre-release. So I think qualifying in general is a very good achievement, to be honest. And 5-5 is still very, very good, especially when it's the people that have been playing it, maybe even longer, like more game time than you've had, that I've got. Maybe more game time than the two of us put together. Do you know what I mean? So I wouldn't look down your nose at a 5-5 or any sort of qualification. I think it's very good, and you've seen the quality even in Div 6. You've seen the quality of some of the teams and some of the players. It's just unreal. Like, in my head, if I think Div 6, whereas the last one I was like first division elite, but obviously it's now the reset, it is going to take your time. But still, as soon as I say Div 6, I'm like, oh, that's not where I was last year. But obviously it's the start of a new, well, not even the new cycle, it's the start of a whole new game. So we've got to work our way up. And like we said earlier, learning the new mechanics and the new gameplay. I think qualifying is a really good achievement. So yeah, definitely well done to that.
Yeah, it's just about parking, my own ego, and I don't want to turn this into a foot and review therapy session. Which are available if you do want them. But yeah, it's about just kind of taking that mentality of and just drilling into myself. It is okay. I think the great quote that I've said many times in this podcast that I read somewhere is, video games become so much more fun when you accept that it's okay to suck. And sometimes you just have to accept there are people better. And look, I do something on Xbox. You can actually go and look at game time that your opponent has played. And I am playing a lot of people. I think my game time's about a day and a few hours. So maybe like 28, 30 hours so far. And I'm playing a lot of people who have played 2 days, 3 days plus. So they've been spending 48, 72, nearly 80 hours playing the game. So You've got to remember, you never know the circumstances of the people playing against you. And look, even with, there are lots of people on Discord that have had fantastic runs in playoffs. People are getting 8 wins, 7 wins, 9 wins. You just never know that. And that's the thing with the loose matchmaking of playoffs. You can get, a run of really easy or easier opponents, or you can get a run of really hard opponents. It's just a bit of the luck of the draw. But what I would say to those people out there is, I'm sitting here bemoaning the fact I only got 5 wins. I think at least 4 of those were really quite comfortable. And I would say that the general, I was facing players a lot who weren't quite as good that I would be playing in Div 6. So yes, there are some harder games. Well, actually, I don't even think they're that much harder than the opponents I faced in Div 6. Facing, 7, 8 out of 10 difficulty opponents, but I was also facing a lot of 4 or 5s. So I think if you have qualified and you've got enough points, and bearing in mind, I did this on, I think, Saturday and Sunday, and we're now here on Monday. I think I think it's a good time for like people like yourself, Nate, to actually dive in to get ready for that first weekend league on Friday. I know you don't play weekend league, but are you going to try and get in?
I'll see how it goes. To be honest, I'll see how I'm playing. I've not been on form this morning at all, so I wouldn't do it today. But as you know, and a few people in our Discord, I'm trying to revamp my team, which we'll come on to in a wee bit. So at the moment, no, because my team's pretty bang average. As soon as I sold up, so I'm looking at trying to get that done. And if I build a team that I like and I click with, then there's a good chance I'll go into playoffs, and I might even try a Friday speed run. Not even with any expectations or any goals, more just to get a few more extra packs, to be honest, and try and build up my team again.
And we spoke about mechanics. Is there any kind of things that you've sort of picked up since we spoke last week that you've really gone, wow, I really need to work on that, or that's something I maybe need to stay away from, or these are the kind of players I want to get?
So play styles, I mean, we've said all along, and we've been hearing on various different channels that play styles are big. Like, I can't emphasize how incredible some of these play styles are. You were the big advocate for Chloe Kelly with the crossing, and that's unreal. Like, that's how I like to play FIFA. That's how I like to watch football, getting the cross on the headers. I think that's incredible. I've got, I think it's Gaiano, one of the women from PSG, who is basically like a female Kante. She's been brilliant, and she's got the relentless trait, and she's everywhere, so that's been quite good fun. And anyone that can do the R1 dribbling well, even like there's the technical plus the quick step. If you get those two in the same one, it's pretty much hard to stop, unless you're going to go and 2-foot them or get the hacksaw out and take somebody's ankle out completely. So I've to be honest, like I say, I've not had the best look in terms of my my untradeable players that I want to use. So I'm still trying to find the perfect players. But these are all little clips of ones that I've used either in my team or with John's team that I'm like, actually, these are ones you've got to take full advantage of. So yeah, how about you, Dan? What's kind of come that you feel like I need to work that in somehow?
It's definitely that technical, and the technical plus one in particular. That R1 dribble, I can't tell if it's broken or if it's just that people aren't defending it properly. But I'm so conditioned not to do that. I've never really been a dribbler in the box. I've always been a pass and move, look for the space, look for the pass. So to actually just sit there and take on players has been new for me. And when I've done it, I bought Joe Cole for a couple of days earlier this week and used him, and he's got that trait. Just cutting in from the left-hand side, just dancing his way into the box. I didn't always finish, but the amount of chance I got just by literally walking at players who just seemed unable to get the ball off me was too much. I think it's going to be tuned down. I know lots of people have been talking about the finesse plus trait being really broken as well. I've not conceded too many finesse goals so far. I don't know. Again, maybe all the people that are really utilising that have already gone above Div 6 and are sort of in Div 5, Div 4 and trying that pro ladder, but I've not found it too bad. I do think there will be adjustments, and that sort of brings us nicely into the second patch notes, title update 2, which is going to be released for PC. News of this came out last night, Sunday night, as we record this on Monday. But Nath, there's not really anything to it. It's just simply, we're going to fix stability issues, particularly with the menus. Does that surprise you that it's so little, or is it actually a good thing that EA are going, well, we're going to get a second title update out because we know there are things that need patching quicker?
Yeah, no, I think it's an okay thing. Obviously, those that got the pre-release have had it a week and a bit now, but the full release was only out on Friday. I'm all for giving it time to bed in, see what works, see what doesn't work. The menus have been pretty dodgy on the app and on the actual menu itself. Some of that, to be fair, is my own undoing because I can't get used to having to use the right the R1, R2, L2 to shift. So I'll put my hands up with that. But some of it's a little bit dodgy. I particularly think the transfer market, the sort of transfer section is really dodgy.
Yes.
And personally, like the objectives and that bit, I think is quite dodgy because it tells me like I've hit an objective, so I go to look for it, and there's not a marker there, so it says I've not got any. So you come out, you go back in, and all of a sudden you've got like 5 objectives to claim somewhere. So I'd like to see that patched. But in terms of the gameplay, let it bed in. We've got our thoughts on it. Like you said, R1 dribbling. I don't know. I'm verging on people can't defend it rather than it being overly broken. I think it's overpowered without being broken, is my initial thoughts. But again, I could well be wrong at that. So give it a bit of time to bed in and see what comes out of it. And obviously, the more you learn and adapt, the better it could be.
Yeah, and EA have always said that they kind of have data across all the games and they're able to study the statistics and footage and make sort of unemotional decisions because it's human nature, isn't it, Nate? Like if we get done by 2 or 3 finesse goals, we're suddenly thinking, oh, something's broken in this. Whereas we're probably not remembering, like I said, the 5 or 6 games that it didn't pose us any problem. So they will hopefully be able to take a rational look across the data and go, okay, look, people are scoring too many of these goals. That I don't know how they do it. Maybe they're observing streams and stuff like that and taking notes as well. But certainly fixing the menus is a big thing. I've seen lots of streamers that are just constantly having to reboot their consoles just because it just keeps crashing all the time. So I'm glad they're just getting out and fixing it and they're not just waiting sort of 2-3 weeks for a big fix. I would love it if they fix the companion app. I think it is the laziest thing they possibly work on. The infrastructure is fundamentally broken on iOS, especially on larger devices. I've got an iPhone 14 Plus Pro, something like that. I've got a big one. Don't clip that up. And it just crashes constantly. And it's been the same for version after version after version. So I don't know. Anyway, that's my rant of the day over. Look, we've got lots to talk about. We've got player in review. We've got formation in review. We've got the mailbag as well. That's all coming up after this. Right, Nath, welcome back. It is time for our regular Monday/Tuesday feature. We're going to start with player in review. I will let you go first, Senor Scout. Who is your player in review for this week? This show is sponsored by CarMoney, the car finance ninjas, fighting to make cars affordable and accessible for everyone, no matter your financial situation. Nikki, the car finance ninja here, compares the top car finance lenders in both the UK and Australia to get you the best possible price so you don't have to, and they can get you approved fast. All you need to do is choose your new car and drive away happy. Get in touch with one of their friendly ninjas and start your car finance journey today.
So my player in review is Marcus Rashford. Those of you that have listened to me rant very regularly on this show knows I'm a Man United fan for my sins. Bought him at 270k because it's Rashford. He started off very well, started in wide left, moved up to striker in a 4-4-2. And he was doing really well. His 3-star weak foot, though, just lets him down. I ended up rage selling him for 250, I think it was, because I had a game for promotion into Div 5 and his left foot missed 3 absolute sitters. So clearly it was nothing to do with me at all. It was all to do with the 3-star weak foot. I mean, speed-wise, he's unreal. His dribbling's good. His finishing on his right foot's actually very good. And surprisingly, his heading. His jumping's at 87, his heading accuracy 76. So it's not something that you'd be like, oh, he's going to be an incredible header. But when you've got Chloe Kelly, like we said earlier, with the whipped cross, he does seem to score his degree of goals. So I can't say it was too bad. And to be honest, he's not a terrible player at all. And his price now is still holding at 245. So, you know, if he's not going to be very bad if he's at that price. But if he was even 5-star, 4-star, I think it would be incredible. But the fact that he is 5-star, 3-star, it does let him down. He's got good play style as well. I think he's got the power shot plus, along with a technical flair and quick step. So, yeah, good player to have. Don't know whether he's worth 200. I don't know if anyone really, apart from maybe Mbappe in the very top, are worth that amount of coin. But decent player. Don't go out your way to get him. If he's untradeable, then you're a lucky person. If not, there will be better. And like I say, he'd be very good possibly on the wing. Only, but as a striker, it's a bit of a no-go.
Yeah, look, I am one of those very lucky people to have packed him. That's my best bit of pack luck this week. Taking a little bit away from you, Nathan, although you've had your fair share of stormers. We won't go through our pack luck because we'll lose viewers by the hundreds. But I did pack him untradeable after I'd used him, funnily enough, on your team. And I think my comment to you was, I think Rashford's on fraud watch. And I think we'd been using him wide left. And I think that weak foot is a really big problem. If you are someone that is very good with the skills, those 5-star skills really do justice. For me, running a mostly untradeable team, I've got him up front with Osman, and it's a pretty decent combination. 300k strike force, maybe closer to 275 now with a bit of market drop, but he does enough. And if he does get away, he does stay away and his shot on that right foot, especially if you do line up and have that time for that power shot plus, which is still, again, if we're talking about broken mechanics, I think that might be on there. although they seem defendable enough. But again, I think it all depends on your style. I think Rashford is really good. If you are somebody that does sit deep and then uncoils like a spring, you're playing that 4-2-2 maybe, or the 4-2-3-1, and you're getting lots of aerial through balls or long through balls, or using those manual passes. He's great. I think I can see what you mean, though, Nathan. If you're doing really patient build-up and you're getting the ball to him in the box and you're getting him to wriggle around and he does end up on that left foot, that's when the frustration does arise. And that's why he's not a dream striker. And why I would never really endorse spending 225 on him. I think someone like Diego Forlan, I think, is only about 320, 350 at the moment. And I'd much rather have someone like Forlan, just a guarantee, or even someone like Benzema, I think probably, if you could fit him in just to guarantee the goals. But certainly by no means a bad player. But yeah, definitely not worth that 200 odd plus price range. My player in review of the week is, we've mentioned her both of these shows. It's Chloe Kelly, who I think you could pick up for about 2-3K now, because she's only 84 rated. She's been packed into oblivion. But fantastic. That whipped cross playstyle plus is amazing, especially for back post crosses. If you are managing to rampage down that wing and you're seeing someone in space on that back stick, just fully power it up or 3/4 up and it will reach them at good speed. I really need to work on my heading because I still can't head her on target enough. But I think she's great. She's also really quick on the turn as well. If you're kind of receiving the ball down the wing and looking to turn I play her on the right, so the left back quickly. She does it more often than not. And she does have I think she's got the technical play style, not got the technical plus, obviously, but she's got enough in her locker to get away. The shooting, again, does let her down, even though she's 4-star, does let her down a little bit. I don't think the shot power is the greatest. So
yeah, 85 shot power she's on. So it's not.
Yeah, it's good, but there's just something a bit missing with her. Maybe it's more accuracy than power, but whatever the stat soup coming together, there's something about her shooting that's not great. But look, if you have room, if you're playing any WSL players or English players, or remember she links to Manchester City players as well. If you've got likes of Rodri, De Bruyne, etc., Edison, fantastic option on the right wing. Love using that card. It's something a bit different. It gives you that different option with that crossing dynamic. And she can do all the other regular stuff as well. She can run down the byline. She can play back across the box. Although, Nath, I can't score. I need you and the team at Foot Coaching to tell me how to score these 5-yard cutbacks that I concede. Because as soon as I get into that same position, I never seem to be able to make the right pass. But I'll save that.
It's that R1 dribbling, Dan. That's what if you master that, you wriggle your way through it.
It's not that. It's the pass. I can't get the pass right. Is it just an X pass?
That's what I use. Yeah. Pass? Sometimes if you double tap it as well, it throws them out even more and gives that little bit of lob trajectory.
That just gets cut out for me. But all my opponents managed to find their man sprinting in to the 6-yard box and bang it home. But never the mind. So yes, Chloe Kelly is my player in review. Very heartily endorse her. Yes, there's better out there, especially as the game moves on. But I think for this stage in the game, she is more than competitive, and I would definitely give her a go, or at least have her on your bench to bring on, to give that dimension later in a game. So let's move on to formation in review. Dun-dun-dun. I'll let you go first again, Senior Scout.
Cool. So my formation in review is a very flat as a pancake 4-4-2. Shameless plug here. Started working on it with John. John took it on, made it incredible. He's actually released it as a Patreon special, I think, now to the Discord and the Patreons. Very, very good. I'm not going to give it away because obviously it's a Patreon special, so join up if you can. But it's not your traditional 4-4-2 sort of gallivanting, whatever. I think you can play direct, you can play tiki-taka, you can play compact. It's a bit of everything all in one. Good options to recycle. You can play your strikers. I think from what I've seen so far, 2 striker formations are very, very good in FIFA or EA FC 24. Obviously, last time you had a lot of 1 striker formations, but I'm really enjoying having 2 up there. The way that the game feels just now. So I think that the 4-4-2 got me. I think at the time he released it, I was Div 7, and it basically put me undefeated up to the last checkpoint in Div 6, just like steamrolled through. And now it's still very, very competitive. I think this could be the game where you need to have quite a few different types of formations, not just variants of the same formation. I think there's such a variety. I think you might need a few of them in your lockup, but this one, I wholeheartedly recommend. It's my starting formation, and 9 times out of 10, I don't even move away from it. It's just excellent so far.
Yeah, I can give it a thumbs up and an endorsement as well. I found it really balanced. Great for being in this mode of trying to learn the different mechanics of the game, because it does give you different options and different methods of attack. It's not just all reliant on one style. Of course, patreon.com/foot in review. If you want to sign up on any of our tiers, you do get access to those exclusive tactics. And it's not just simply John screenshotting or Nathan screenshotting the tactics. It's talked through and given examples of how to attack, how you defend. So it's really well explained. It's not just simply here's this list of instructions, go follow them. It's a really good service. So again, patreon.com/foot in review. And look, anyone that signs up also supports this show. And we are very, very thankful, as we say in the top of the very show. Thank you to everyone who does continue to support us. I'm going to shout out the 4-2-1-3, a formation that I had never played before this FIFA or FC24. Sorry, it's still going to be a while, folks. It's still going to be a while. Really good. I've noticed that 4-3-3s in general and this formation have been quite prevalent in this first couple of weeks. It's really good. Again, you have that option, the wide option. You have the 2 CDMs, so you have that solidity as well at the back. And you can, if you want to go up to this mythical 71 depth line, Nath, which seems to be, putting the pressure on people mysteriously without them dropping stamina. We'll have to do a bit more investigation on it, but again, I have a feeling this might be patched into nerfed.
I think you could be right. It seems very overpowered. Very fun. You can tweak it as well. Obviously, I think there was one that was posted in our Discord, so I think a few of us used that. Starting to slightly tweak it now. We're learning the game as well, but it's very fun. I think you're right. Having the 2 CDMs set in front of your back 4 is actually a very good thing, especially in that when you've kind of got 4 going forward. So you can overwhelm them. You can change your defensive play style in the setup, in the tactics, and really go for it as well. So it's really good fun. That's the one I started until I kind of went on to John's 4-4-2. Both of them excellent formations, and both you can play different types of FIFA as well. You can play, I called it FIFA, didn't I? You can play patient. We can play tiki taka. You can play direct. That's what I'm liking. You can kind of sort of tweak it and mold it to suit yourself.
Yeah, and once again, we're sat here talking about all these different formations. We've talked about 4 different ones across 2 shows we've done so far. Look, let's do the math here. There's only about 20 formations in this game, 24 formations, something like that, maybe, Nath. So we'll eventually run out of them, and we'll have to go back and talk about different variations and styles of play. But already it's great that we can sit here and talk about different styles and the fact that there's nothing OP. It's not like someone has said, okay, like in FIFA 20, 4-2-3-1 or Doom, you don't have to. Or last year's 4-3, it was kind of not quite 4-3-2-1 or Doom, but that became very overpowered quite quickly. It's not quite degenerated into that level yet. So it's this exploratory phase that's really fun to do. So yeah, go give them both a go. And as I said, if you want those 4-4-2 tactics that Nath mentioned, patreon.com/foot in review. And of course, if you do sign up, you get Discord access. You can join the show live, as the big boss man himself, John, has done. And he's informed me that it is the X pass for that little cutback. So I'm obviously doing something wrong, but I will figure it out. I will figure out the ways of the rat. I will don a tail and ears and figure out how to do this sweatback mechanic. But fear not. Look, and again, speaking of the Discord, Grandpa Mac has submitted a question to the mailbag. He says, question for the pod. What advice would you give someone who's got a dupe, Trent Alexander-Arnold and Bernardo Silva? Bernardo Silva already in quick sale jail. Not got a lot of high-rated fodder. Is there any value SBCs? Should I just hold them for a bit longer or bite the bullet and send them to quick sale jail? So this one, I would say hold them if Jude is coming. Jude Bellingham won the August Player of the Month from La Liga Santander, or it's not even La Liga Santander anymore. I can't remember what it's called. It's got a new sponsor,
EA,
isn't it?
It's EA.
Oh, is it EA? Is it
EA?
EA? Okay.
It's like the EA League or something.
Anyway, the top division in Spain. He won the Player of the Month for August. He's on the nomination board for September. Now, they did release the August Bundesliga and Premier League Player of the Month, but whether they actually release Jude for August, my suspicion is they won't. Watch them drop this probably Monday night before this even gets released on Tuesday. But, famous last words and all that jazz. But overall, I think the one I would say, Nathan, and the one I've done and put my fodder into is Leroy Fer. I think he's a really sort of good, versatile option. Yes, he plays in the Turkish league, but Netherlands is pretty easy to sort of link up with. So that would be the one I would do. And as John points out, he's ex-Feyenoord as well, and of Norwich City, I believe, and QPR, I think, as well. He might have played for.
Yeah, it was QPR. Yeah,
he
he was very, very good 2 FIFAs ago. There was a special card that his came out in
Yes.
FIFA 22, I believe it was, and he was a CDM, and he was an absolute monster.
Was it What If?
I can't remember. It might have been, but I just remember him being released, and everyone that did him were laughing because he was just a boulder. You couldn't get past him.
Yeah, I think if you're looking to sort of close out games, I think it's exactly the perfect kind of play. You can bring on for those last 20, 25 minutes, give you that physical presence in the midfield. He can play defender as well. He's got enough defensive stats to do that role as well. So again, I think if you're looking for the best of a bad bunch, do that. But yeah, it's not ideal. I think Kudus would probably be my second bet, Nath. Anybody else for you?
Nah, Kudus is a stretch. Like I say, even with his upgrades, but then he'll be, if he's into December, you'll be talking sort of promo players coming out your nose with sort of similar or better stats, I guess, at that point. His 3-star weak foot as well would just annoy me after Rashford. So to be honest, I would just hold and just see what comes, unless you've got a mountain of packs which you're itching to get to, which I can totally understand because we're all pin it there at the moment. But that it kind of goes back to what we said at the top of the show, Dan, where the menu grind hasn't been tremendous so far. And I think that kind of epitomizes it. How, I don't remember being at this stage of any of the previous ones going, what do I do? Week, one minus
barely into week one
so,
officially. Yeah,
exactly. So I think I would just hold it. In all honesty, Kudus doesn't fill me with anticipation. Fair looks okay, but I think he's very cheap. I think he's not an 83 rated squad or something. Anyway, it's
84, I think maybe.
It's an 84. So you could put him in there and try and bring some of the other players down. But even that, I'm like this. You probably will have packed a Rodri or someone like that by now that's equally as good, or you've got someone in your club untradeable. But I would just hold if it was me.
Yeah, and it's only worth opening and getting to your packs if they're tradable. I would say that actually, because bear in mind these 88, 87 rated fodder is so cheap as well that even if you end up discarding them, they're not the end of the world. But the players you pack, could make a big difference because there are so many players with value at the moment. So if you are sitting on quite a few tradable packs, maybe you do, even if you're not enamored with him, do a Fur or a Kudus just to get to those tradable packs because they might be worth more than if you hold them for another 5-6 days in the hope for an SBC that might not come. But, I've been hoovering up fodder anyway because I think it's about as cheap as it's going to be. So that's my free trading tip of the week right now. But Nate, anything else to bring up before we ride off into the sunset?
Yes, just one little bit of housekeeping. Foot Coach and Foot and Review recently did a competition on the socials. We have had the winner picked behind the scenes, so a very big congratulations to Cooper Riddle. So the guys will be in touch about your prizes.
Congratulations. Yeah, another great reason to follow us on all of our socials. Of course, Foot Coaching, the place to go. Lots of great stuff. We had a penalty tutorial go up on Instagram. Lots of other great tips and hints are going to be going out regularly, not just on this show, but on the social. So please give us a follow if you can. And again, we talk about the support we get on Patreon, just liking posts, sharing posts, suggesting us to friends, reposting stuff. That makes such a big difference. And it really does help us out. So again, appreciate everybody that gives us the follow, that gives us their time. It's really appreciated indeed. Nath, where can people follow you?
So I am both on Twitter and in our Discord as NJ Downs.
Yep, and I am at Wimby86 or at Wimby on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it. Wimby in the Discord as well. The show will return on Friday for our Patreon, Saturday for all of our non-subscribers. So stay tuned for that. John will be back. I'm not sure who his co-host will be at the moment. Whether there may be a trading show with myself and Shaq. I'm trying to get it in the diary and get it. But if not this week, there'll definitely be next week. And again, that's for our Patreon supporters at supporter tier and higher. We share the highs and lows of the market. And go into great detail. I think last week's show ended up at something like 40 minutes. So if you are into your market analysis and looking to learn how to trade and things like that, very much recommend that. In the meantime, Nath, there's only one thing left for us to do.
Drop it.
We're going to drop it.
Drop it.
F-U-T. F-U-T. F-F-F-U-T. F-U-T. T. interview.
F
You.
T